So let's go through and I'll show you what what plugins I'm using. The first thing you can see all the way across the session, besides the master bus, is this SSL channel strip. I've talked about this channel strip a lot. I'm sure by now you're familiar with it. For the drums, I have it all the way across the session, and for the bass as well. And you can see I even have it on the drum bus. For guitars, I'm using the API Vision. I personally do like using the API channel strip specifically for guitars. I don't know what it is, but for me, there's always like this connection with API and guitars. I just think it sounds really good. In my opinion, I always think API sounds clean. I know that people say that there's a lot of, I don't know, I guess like grit to it, to the API sound, but that's not personally what I hear. And maybe it's just the way that I'm using it or the way that I've used their hardware or the console in the past. I just think it sounds super clean, definitely super punchy, and I just like the EQs on it. So that'll be a big thing when it comes to the guitars. And then the keys, you can see I have the SSL channel as well, pad SSL channel, and then my master bus. I am using the Varimu. I did put the API 2500 because that is another one that probably my top two favorite bus compressors right here. It would be the Varimu. Actually, it would be the API first, then the Varimu, and then the SSL if I had to choose in an order. But right now I'm hooked on the Varimu, so that's pretty much been my go-to bus compressor probably the last like month or so. And then, like I said, API 2500, can't go wrong with it. And we'll get to listen to both of those and I'll set them up in how I would personally use them. And then after that, I have the Studer 800 that I'm using, and I'll talk about my preset and how I'm using it and stuff. But I personally do like just having some sort of like tape emulation on the master bus. It's something I've been doing probably for the past year or so. It's just, for me, it's the preset that I've made, and also I like the way this plugin sounds and what it does to the low end and the top end. It kind of shaves off the top end in a really nice way, similar to what tape would do. I'm not going to say this sounds exactly like tape because I've only had so much time with tape, never personally used it enough to even have an opinion on it. But as far as like the plugin goes, if I had never heard tape ever, whatever the plugin does is what I like about it. And then after this isn't a UAD plugin. I just have this for metering because I was getting levels. And then we have the Hitsville reverb and Lexicon reverb. I really like these two reverbs a lot. I have them in my template. And then obviously you can see that I just want to show that I have the SSL across those two, like if we were recording on a real console. The Hitsville reverb I use a lot. Like I said, especially if you're trying to put something in a room, this is definitely like my go-to for that kind of sound. And then, I mean, Lexicon 224, can't go wrong with it. It's a classic. It sounds really good. There's this one that Sean Everett used on Casey Musgrave's album. I think he said it came with the session, but he like kept it. It's on here somewhere, but he talks about it in a mix with the master video. You can find it on the internet. And then starting back from the top, I have distressors ready to go to use on kick and snare. So yeah, another UAD plugin I would say that you must have, in my opinion. After that, I mean, the G-Bus, can't go wrong with it, especially the UAD one, the classic Blackface 1176 on bass. I do like this one a little bit better than the Blue Stripe. I know that's more grittier, but when it comes to bass, this is pretty much like a go-to, especially if I'm recording on the way in. I'll definitely try to use that if it's available. And then the pad sample that's in here, I like to, in general, I do like to use some like chorus or like Dimension D kind of thing. And this you can't go wrong with either. It sounds great. I mean, it's very simple, easy to use, and it just sounds good. So I can't really complain about that when they're easy to use. And then other than that, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Pretty straightforward. I would say these are like my go-to plugins for sure when it comes to using UAD native stuff. And like I said, this is specifically native plugin. So as of this video, whatever is native, these are my favorites.